Hi, we have come to share a message with you about a dark comedy film called Ronald's Little Factory.
Bokovoy, thanks so much for coming on to Talk Beliefs all the way from California. You are a writer, filmmaker, and an ex-Mormon, and are currently working on a dark comedy film called Ronald's Little Factory, which is now being crowdfunded with the aim to reach its goal by August 8, 2020. But before we find out more about the fictional character of Ronald, let's just hear a bit about you. Well, you grew up Mormon in San Diego, so would you say you had a typical Mormon upbringing?
Yeah, very traditional. I grew up in the 90s in San Diego, and I was the perfect Mormon boy. And yeah, I had two brothers, one sister. We were all active in the church. Went to seminary every morning and ended up going on a mission for 2 years to Seattle. And I was a full-on believer.
Well, you were a true believing Mormon, and like most LDS youngsters, you were selected to go on a mission. Can you talk briefly about what it is to be a Mormon missionary, and then tell us what it was like for you on your own mission?
Sure. So yeah, every young man is expected to go on a mission. So I was raised that way, and I wanted to go on a mission. And so when you turn 19, you talk to your bishop and fill out these papers, and you send them out to the church in Salt Lake City, and then they decide for you, and they send the papers back. And so both my brothers went to Brazil. I wanted to go foreign. I thought that'd been nice to learn a new language, but they chose Seattle for me. So I went to Seattle, and I really loved it as a true believing Mormon. And so yeah, you go for 2 years, you go knocking on doors, teaching lessons, and trying to baptize as many people as you can.
Now, somewhere along the line, you started to doubt, and this led to your eventual exit from Mormonism and from religious belief in general. So can you tell us what happened exactly? When did you first start to doubt?
Yeah, the first kind of weird thing happened on my mission. A companion left an anti-Mormon book behind, and so they would talk about it was published by someone as a true believing Mormon, and it was talking about all the anti-Mormon stuff and then defending it. And so that's the first time I ever heard about things like the Adam God theory, where Brigham Young talked about how Adam was God, and also how Joseph Smith had multiple accounts of his first vision. And so I was kind of blown away by that, but at the same time, it was published by someone from the church, so they would defend those. But that was the first time I ever had any kind of weird things planted in my head about the church that wasn't quite what I was raised to believe. So I finished my mission though as a very true believing Mormon, and about a year after my mission, the first time I ever really thought of something that was against Mormon teachings, I was inside the temple in San Diego, and I always felt a little uncomfortable with the temple. It just always felt so weird to me. And so I was in what was called the Celestial Room, and that's after you go through the ordinances of the temple, after you spend about an hour and a half doing watching a video and learning secret signs, you go through this you go to the Celestial Room, and that is supposed to be the closest place on earth to God. And so everyone there, of course, is dressed in white, and it's just for some reason it just came into my mind. Just such a weird. It felt so weird, and like you're underneath like probably a couple $100,000 chandelier, and it just to me I just felt so gaudy and like so over the top. And I started to think, I feel more at peace out in nature, out in the mountains, and instead of underneath a $200,000 chandelier. And just I felt so silly. And so that was the very first time I thought, maybe if I feel weird right now about the church, maybe there's other things that I wouldn't feel so comfortable with. So I spent about a year and a half reading and praying and just deciding, is this something I really believe in, or is this something that has been ingrained in me to believe my entire life?
What was it like for you after you'd lost your faith? What about family and friends? Were they upset with you?
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word upset, just very disappointed. I still have a great relationship with my parents. They're still true believing Mormons, and my sister, but my two brothers and my three best friends from them, they were all very active, and they were all very disappointed when they heard that. But since then, in the last 15 years, they've all come out and are no longer true believing Mormons anymore. So, but I still have a great relationship with several active Mormons. And when I showed I showed my mom the proof of concept to my movie, and she took it better than I actually thought. So that was nice.
Brent, when did you first get into filmmaking, and how long was it before you started to think about projects relating to growing up Mormon?
It actually had to do a little bit with me leaving the Mormon church. When I left, when I was about 24 years old, it was very kind of it wasn't a fun experience, because it felt like the rug was pulled underneath my feet. And so I felt at the time, I knew exactly what I was going to be doing for eternity. I was going to get married in the temple, have babies here, and then continue to have babies in the next life, and become a god in the next life is basically what we're taught as Mormons. And so when I stopped believing that, it was, what am I doing here? Like, it was not a fun time. And so I really came to the conclusion, I don't, no one has any idea why we're here, where we're going. So I felt like it was just up to me to decide what makes this life, what heaven on earth to me, because this could be the only life that we have. So I felt, there came the conclusion, you need to make this life heaven on earth. And I felt like I had to decide what makes me the most happy. And I started to think what makes me enjoy life and the most. And I started to think about when I was a kid and a teenager, and I started thinking about the times I was just with my friends and my family making little silly home videos. And that, to me, that brought back some of the greatest memories. And so I started, and I've always been into kind of filmmaking, writing a bit, but I started thinking, if maybe I should pursue that makes me happy. And so that's really when I was about, my mid-20s, I started thinking maybe I should get into filmmaking. And so I spent several years working on short films, some corporate video work, and then about 2 years ago, I wrote a screenplay, a short screenplay about Joseph Smith, an event in Joseph Smith's life when he married a 14-year-old, and so we wrote this script together. And then a few months later, we were talking about perhaps writing. It'd be fun to write a comedy, and we've always been very interested in this crazy video by an apostle, Boyd K. Packer, who he gave in 1976. He gave this anti-masturbation speech to the young men at General Conference, and so decided to write a screenplay about this 19-year-old boy that watches that anti-masturbation video, and he then takes it to heart and has a fun time after that.
Hi, we have come to share a message with you about a dark comedy film called Ronald's Little Factory.
Ronald!
My name is Brent Bokovoy. I'm a filmmaker from San Diego putting together my first feature film. The film is about a young Mormon in the 1980s who becomes tempted to commit one of the worst known sins to God and mankind. Check out the proof of concept.
Within your body, you have the power of creation. When this power begins to form, it might be likened to having a little factory in your body. There is, however, something you should not do. Sometimes a young man does not understand. Perhaps he is encouraged by unwise or unworthy companions to tamper with that factory. He might fondle himself and open that release valve. This you should not do. If you misuse it, you will be sorry. It is of the devil. The Spirit of the Lord will leave it. It is of the devil. 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 It is of the devil.
Ronald! Mom! No, Mom, I didn't do anything. No, Mom.
Well, the film you're producing is called Ronald's Little Factory. Now, anyone affiliated with the Mormon Church is probably going to know what this title is referring to, but for anyone else, can you explain the title, where it comes from, and how it fits into the plot of the film?
Yeah, so in 1976, Boyd K. Packer, who was an apostle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, gave at General Conference, he gave a anti-masturbation talk. And in the talk, he likened men's reproductive systems to little factories. As growing up in the 80s, 90s, we were all the young men were very familiar with that talk. And most of it is pretty hilarious because all the euphemisms and it's so silly, most of it. And so just about 2 years ago with a friend, both of us, we would always talk about that talk, and then we decided to write a short screenplay together based on this 19-year-old boy watching that talk. And he was also the boy is Ronald, that we wrote about, and the boy was also inspired. Supposedly there was also another apostle that wrote this pamphlet for the church that said if you're tempted to masturbate, then you might need to handcuff your hand to the bedpost at night. So that's kind of a rumored pamphlet. And so Ronald sees that and he watches the talk and he handcuffs his hand to the bedpost at night. So he not tempted to do that. And in the morning, he wakes up and his mom comes in. Of course, his mom freaks out. So that's the original short screen, just about a 3-page short screenplay that we wrote together. And then a few months after that, I just came to the conclusion I wanted to expand that to a feature-length screenplay. So I wrote it's an 80-page screenplay now, and after his mom walks in, she freaks out and she calls the Relief Society president, and then she calls the neighbor, and then so all the crazy members from his ward, the stake president, the bishop, an ex-BYU professor, they all come and they all try to help Ronald. They all try to free him, but each one of them give him an anti-self-loving speech to him.
What has the film shoot been like? Has it gone smoothly, or has it been a labor of love?
So the film shoot, I've only done about a year ago. I just shot a proof of concept, just a 3-minute proof of concept. I just shot it in my own bedroom. We shot it one day, and it was just about 12 hours. It went really well, and just edited it down to a 3-minute proof of concept. So that's the only thing that I've ever shot. And so I edited that into obviously, the 3.5-minute proof of concept, and then I put it with my crowdfunding campaign. I edited some stuff of me posing as a missionary, talking to potential people that want to pledge to my campaign that I put up. So, anyways, I've only shot the proof of concepts, and I will be shooting the rest of the film over 10 days. To put it into about an 80-minute feature-length film.
Okay, as we said at the beginning of the interview, the film is being crowdfunded and will hopefully reach its goal by August 8th, so not very far away. It'd be really great if my viewers could help out. So how can anyone get involved, and what can they expect from supporting this project?
Yeah, so you can go on Kickstarter.com and search under Ronald's Factory, and I'm sure there'll be a link here. So you watch the few-minute video that I put up, and it describes more in detail the film and what we're going to do. We talk about I like to shoot the film and then have several premieres in Utah of theatrical screenings, and want to have them hosted by people in the ex-Mormon community. And so I want to have some events and putting, that we can get a lot of the post-Mormon community together, as well as active. I hope this will appeal to open-minded active Mormons as well, and just people that like interesting, weird cinema that maybe that have never been Mormon or raised religious. So you go on the Kickstarter, and you can see there's for pledging, there's a lot of rewards, including just copies of the movie, tickets to the showing, and some of the higher rewards are sponsorships, and even us coming and doing making a video for your business, advertisements. And so if you check out on the far right, you can see all the rewards on the Kickstarter page.
Right, Brent, this project looks like it will be so much fun to see completed, and I know people will get a kick out of it. It's great that you've been able to spare the time to come onto the show and talk about the film. I'll leave links to the Kickstarter campaign in the description below, and all that's left to say is thank you once again for coming on to Talk Beliefs.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a big fan of your work, and I love all of the videos that you put up, and really fascinated by the whole subject of religion and people leaving, why they decide to stay, and human psychology. So I think you're doing a lot of great work, and thanks for having me on.